Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Kritika's Vision. Today, as I have promised, again I have come up with another subtopic of causes of revolt of 1857. We have already done the political causes. Now it's time to do this religious and social causes of the revolt of 1857. Now, regarding the religious and social causes, these two factors had caused a lot of uneasiness amongst the people of India. With Britishers who came to India, with them Christian missionaries also came to India, whose activities such as teaching Christianity and its doctrines in the school, not only private school but also in government school, forcing the prisoners in jail in to study the Bible, forcing people in temples and mosques to study the Bible, created a sense of panic amongst the Indians. See, India is a religious country where we respect all religion, and hence we are a secular country. Religion is something that we follow to the core, right? So what happens that when Indians felt that some western religion has come and it's trying to change them, change their social and religious like various activities, then they felt very bad about it. So what they did is they started feeling very a sense of insecurity came into their hearts, that their religion will be changed and maybe they will be not they'll not survive properly in their country then, as religion is one of the greatest support system. Okay, now what Britishers also did is not only they asked the missionaries who were like propagating Christianity to teach Christianity in India, but they also came up with further few acts and policies like Religious Disability Act of 1850, where they asked that a person following Hinduism has to convert himself or herself to Christianity in order to inherit the property of their parents. So Indians felt that it's a deliberate attempt to change the religions of Indians. So this thing actually interfered with the religion and customs of Indian. Okay, even there were railways and telegraphs. It also spread a sense of panic amongst the Indians. While because in railways, when Britishers started introduced railways in India, their prime motive was that they wanted that the railway should easily transport goods from one place to another, which will make things easier for them. But what happened? Due to railways, many Indians who were of various caste, like at that time Indian caste system was prevailing in India, so various Indians had to sit together. Now high caste Indians, sorry, were offended by doing this, because they felt that this is something which they are practicing since eternity, and how can somebody make them sit together? Because in social, as you have already studied earlier in other videos, that how the social strata was divided in India. So people coming together, sitting together, was a sense created a sense of uneasiness in them. Even the telegraph poles which the Britishers they installed so that easily communication can be done was seen as a threat. Indians felt that these are the poles on which they will be hanged if they do something which is against the Britishers, right? So this is another cause. Now even Indians were discriminated widely on the basis of their religion, on the basis of their race, as Britishers felt that they belong to a white race and that is far more superior than the Indian race. Okay, so this discrimination also was something which Indians took to their heart, and they were very offended by it. And last but not the least, that they feared that the Oriental system of education that was in madarsas or gurukuls will be transformed, and English education will not only transform the way of teaching but their way of life also. So they felt very insecure due to this reason. Now, coming to the set of economic causes. Now, we all understand that a country runs on money. We need money to run the country, the economy. Now, India primarily was and is an agricultural country, right? So 70% of the population is there who are doing agriculture in India. Now, when Britishers came to India, they were actually they came to India because they wanted to do trade with India. They were attracted towards India because they felt that Indian spices, Indian textiles, they can take it at a cheaper rate to their country, and there they can use it as raw materials or as finished product to be used in their households. Now, when they came to India, India, they started feeling this insecurity that if Indian textiles will be in such popularity in Britain, then slowly Indians will start gaining from the British market. So the popularity of Indian textiles alarmed the policymakers in England. They started imposing various laws to ruin, to destroy the Indian textile industry. Example, the act was passed in 1720 to prohibit the use of Indian silk in England. Also, heavy duties were imposed on Indian textiles so that when they will reach the British market, their price will automatically increase, and hence the Britishers will not buy them. So this was done while the British goods which were dumped in our country, which we imported, though we didn't never wanted that, they were made duty free. So they were cheaper than them. Even what was a cost of manufacturing, only that was taken. So they were far more cheaper. So in India also, we Indians got confused that whether to buy our own indigenous expensive goods or whether to go with stylish, machine-made, cheap British and foreign goods. So this tend to ruin our handicraft, our trade, our textile industry. Okay. Now coming to next, poverty-stricken cultivators. In India, that time the cultivators, the peasants used to do farming for their family, and whatever surplus was there, they used to sell in the market. But you know what happened? Britishers became too stringent that Indians will only grow what they want. That is what Britishers will want. Like Britishers wanted cash crops rather than food crops to be grown, because cash crops has more shelf life and it can be easily stored in godowns and then further be sent to Britain. Okay, so India was reduced to mere agricultural colony growing cash crops like indigo, which further leads to infertility of the land. Okay, we had no other option but to grow such crops. Even when the cultivators, they refused to do so, they were tortured, they were killed, their houses were burnt, all these things were done. So at the end, just because Indians had got no other options left with them, they further went along and they started growing whatever Britishers wanted. And hence what happened, they started starving because they were not getting food crops, they were not getting a price of the crops which they wanted, because Britishers also, they settled the price at which they bought goods from Indians at by their own will. Next is annexation of rent-free land and state. Now big lands were there which were confiscated, okay, by the Britishers on the reason that it was the Inam Commission actually of 1852 that enabled them to do so. They asked big landlords whose land Britishers were eyeing upon that if you will not show us title deeds, then we'll take your land. Now many landlords were using the lands, big states which they inherited many years ago and their ancestors gave them, so they were not having proper papers. So lack of proper papers led to Britishers confiscate their large states. Okay, so these landlords also, many landlords became pauper. Even loss of livelihood was not only for landlords but also for those Maulvis and Pandits who were now out of their job market, because nobody went for the Oriental system of education. They were all interested in Western education because Britishers were forcing it on the Indians. Okay, even a loss of livelihood for peasants also, because they were not growing what they wanted. Now further to make things worse, there were big famines in the market, there were big famines in the country which Indians faced during 19th century. During that time, as it is during normal circumstances, peasants were having a miserable life. Now during that time, what happened? The peasants were further terribly, they were having this very tough time, but the Britishers, they never thought of helping the peasants. So big famine was also one of the reasons that led to the discontentment, anger amongst the peasants, that they had so much of expectation from the Britishers as masters, but Britishers were not doing anything for them. Now coming to the military causes, now Britishers, because they ruled over our country for so many years, but they were not able to bring entire lot of their soldiers to India. So there were sepoys. Sepoys are those Indians who were there in the British army, who served Britishers as their masters. Now, what happened that these sepoys, though they were serving Britishers at their masters with full dedication, but they were paid less. They were not given proper promotion. The highest position they could have reached was that of Subedar. So there was no promotion, and low salaries was given, ill treatment was meted to them, no respect was given. Also, with the coming of General Service Enlistment Act of 1856, what happened that bhatta or foreign alliance that they used to get was denied to them. So now Indians, as it is, they were not willing, as per, because of the religious taboo, they were not willing to cross the Indian Ocean or the seas and to go to foreign lands to serve, because they felt that it will lead and bring them impurity. Okay. Now, when bhatta was given, that was an allowance which was given to them. They felt that, okay, with this allowance, we can at least do some rituals and we will again purify ourselves. But when that ritual was also, that bhatta was also stopped, Indian soldiers were very discontented because of this reason. Okay. Now, next is discontentment and dissatisfaction in the Bengal army. So, obviously, Bengal army is a misnomer. It doesn't contain, there were no, very less sepoys from Bengal. Actually, most of them were from Awadh. Now, the sepoys of Awadh, as it is, they were very angry because their king's kingdom was taken. Annexation of Awadh was done. Further, they were asked to defile themselves, make themselves impure and go to serve in foreign lands due to this General Service Enlistment Act. So they felt very bad about it. Okay. Now, loss of prestige of Britishers. Now, while Britishers were controlling us, they were also having wars with other countries in their land. Okay. Now, when Britishers lost those battles, like there was Anglo-Afghan war, when Britishers lost that battles and that news came to Indians, it further motivated the Indians that they can also do something. They can also someday, if they stand together, they can also defeat the Britishers. Okay. So due to all these reasons, they acted as military causes for the revolt. Now, I'm finishing these causes here. Tomorrow's lecture will be solely dedicated to the immediate cause, which is the most important cause of revolt of 1857 and which further sparked the revolt and started it. Because a date was chosen that we'll do early, that we'll be doing tomorrow, that a date was chosen beforehand, but the revolt started earlier because of this immediate cause. Okay, so I hope you are liking my videos. Please like, subscribe, and do comment, do write your questions. Like, once I'll finish this chapter, I'll have a live session where I can take up your questions and answer it. So please subscribe my channel and be a part of it, and let's make learning fun together. Thank you.